It's Rafi Chowdhury here with Influencer Spotlight, and in today's module, we're going to talk a little bit about certain key skills that I've identified that are almost like essential to become a very successful entrepreneur. And the main question here is that being an entrepreneur is a lot of hard work. There's a lot of ways to do it. There's lots of people out there telling you different ways to do it. But what are some things that are consistent in all people that run successful businesses? So let's dive right in and find out. So something we're going to discuss in this video. Do you know how to manage money? Are you good with your finances? Do you understand what it means to buy, how to invest, how to save, how to take calculated risks with your money? Can you raise more money and close a deal successfully? So can you get investments in your business? Or do you have the ability to get people to invest in you, not only with money, but also with their time and with their contacts and with their relationships? Can you use stress to your benefit, or do you crumble under the weight of stress? Can you handle stress properly? Are you having productivity balance, meaning do you have a balanced lifestyle? Do you work 17, 18, 19 hours a day and are miserable? Is all you're doing? Or do you have a pretty good work-life balance? Do you have the ability to become friends with other people that are entrepreneurs? Can you easily make friendships with those people? Can you reach out to successful people and make friends with them? Do you know what you're good at? Do you know what you're bad at? Can you identify your strengths and weaknesses? And as for your weaknesses, can you become friends with those people who are good at what you're bad at? It's things like these, and there's tons of other characteristics and qualities and specific skill sets that are needed to become a successful entrepreneur. And let's go even deeper. So let's talk about money management. If you can't manage your money, you can't manage your business. It's just simple as that. If you have no way to calculate your finances, if you don't have a bookkeeping type of system, you won't really know if you're making or losing money a lot of times. You may be thinking that, oh, I got to sell here, I got to sell there, but your overhead costs and your long-term costs might be much higher than what you're actually making. You may not be, breaking even enough to where you're making any sort of solid profit. So you really have to have really good bookkeeping skills, and an accountant of some type, whether it's yourself or someone you hire out to, needs to keep accurate track of how much money is coming into the business versus how much is going out. So how much money are you actually earning at the end of all this? You have to look at your own salary as well, not just your company's sales and company's revenue, but also your personal salary. What are your expenditures? So how do you spend money? Do you go out, are there certain things that you have to spend money on? Are there certain things you're spending money on right now that you can cut back on? Is it all making financial sense? Is every dollar that's being spent on something giving you a positive ROI? These are things you have to ask yourself. Are you saving enough time to actually start a new venture? Do you actually have the time and energy to put into a new business and a new venture that you're looking to pursue? Because time is more important than money even. So obviously you have to be really good at managing a business budget, and you need to calculate spending versus earning. So you really can't spend money that you haven't earned yet. So you really have to have a good idea on how much you're actually making versus how much you can actually afford to spend to grow your business or to maintain what you have. So the core component of a business obviously is sales. And the more sales you have, the better you do, the more money you can raise, the more money you can invest back into your business. So sales is the most crucial part of a business. And you need to be focused on generating more sales. And to generate sales, you have to be able to sell multiple things and not just necessarily one thing all the time. So as a client or a customer comes into your business and finds out about who you are and what you do, you can sell them on some product or service. But the real money is made when on the ongoing purchases, when you can get them to subscribe to you on a monthly basis, when you can sell them other products, when you can have them referring to you other customers, things of that nature. So focus on upselling to your clients. Are your clients actually happy and becoming your testimonials? Do you actually provide value to them to the point where they're actually going out and talking about you? Because referral business is the best type of business that customers you can possibly have. Do you offer discounts to close a deal? So if you're in the brink of being able to get someone in as a customer, but they somehow, for whatever reason, the money and isn't making really sense for them on a financial standpoint, can you offer them a discount just to get them in through the door? Do you have some sort of a lead magnet or some sort of bait that you can use to acquire a new customer? And you have to ask yourself, if you have a business plan for further action, what do you plan on doing in the future? How do you plan on seeing your business span on for the next 2 years, 5 years, 6 months even? So stress management is super, super important. And obviously stress can be very frustrating, and that's one of the biggest killers of entrepreneurship is people get too stressed out and they quit. So being frustrated and setbacks are obviously part of the entrepreneurship, it's a part of the journey, and you have to learn how to cope with that and still continue moving forward despite the difficulties that come with entrepreneurship. And you're going to struggle being an entrepreneur. There's obviously going to be tons of struggle before you actually make it happen. And you may never make it happen in a particular business. So you kind of have to keep pivoting and trying different things until something does end up working. And if stress is controlling you instead of you controlling the stress, it's going to be very difficult to be able to do. And you're going to have to learn how to really use stress to your benefit almost. You have to be someone who's actually almost like driven by stress. And if you can do that successfully, then you can keep going at it despite the adversities that come with taking on a new venture. So productivity is very important in entrepreneurship as well. You can't just spend all your day doing one particular thing because you have to really be able to see the entire the whole business from a airplane point of view. And so to do that, you really have to become someone who works on your business and not in your business. It's kind of hard to do. So, really need to figure out, how can you outsource? How can you delegate tasks? How can you basically, the model that I follow is, learn, do, teach, and delegate. So I learn something, I do it for myself, I teach it to somebody else, and I delegate that task to that person or somebody else so that I can take myself away and try to figure out, something new, or look into my business and see how else I can make it continue going. So try to, lower your to-do lists so that it doesn't overwhelm you. Take breaks. A lot of people just go at it and they just keep going, but they don't really stop to take breaks. And so they get frustrated more easily. So take breaks often. Follow the 80-20 rule. Most of the time, 20% of the work in your business actually produces 80% of the results. So figure out what 20% of the work is really producing majority of the results and just focus on that 20% and drop the other 80% that you're doing every day. Use your morning to focus yourself. This is very important. When you first wake up, you want to have some quiet time. You want to maybe have some prayer time or something of that nature. It'll allow you to connect with yourself. And if you're spiritual, it'll allow you to connect on a spiritual level as well. And you're going to have a much better outlook for that day than if you just, wake up and go straight to your laptop or phone and start answering text messages and emails. I generally find that it's more helpful if you have some quiet time before you begin your daily routines. Take care of the most challenging, difficult things before lunch. And the reason for that is because after lunch, people start getting lazy. And I've seen this in myself too. And more stress isn't really more fun at time. So try to see how much can you knock out in your business before you get to lunchtime. And obviously, you want to stop confusing productivity with laziness. So just because you're, being productive doesn't necessarily mean you're not doing things. You're just basically doing the things that are most essential. That's different from just being lazy and not getting things done. So know the difference between the two. There's a fine line. So you have to be able to make other friends that are entrepreneurs as well. And on average, there's this rule of thumb that you're pretty much the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So you end up actually making, on average, the average of those 5 people and their earnings. So if you take the 5 people that you spend the most time with, add up their income divided by 5, that's very close to how much money you make. So the friends that you have, the people you associate with yourself with, makes a huge difference. So you can improve your odds of success by finding entrepreneur friends, especially ones that are actually already successful, because they're going to be introducing you to concepts, to connections, to ideas, and also, potential of you partnering up with them on projects that you wouldn't really get if you're solo, or if you're trying to call it, always working with people that are below what you're looking to achieve. And these people will also be able to understand your struggles and give you, insight from their perspective, something that you're not really going to be able to get if you're constantly hanging out with people that are not entrepreneurs. So you need to be able to identify your strengths and your weaknesses, and especially your strengths, because the reality is that there are so many things that we're bad at, but there are just a few things that we're good at. And if you can just become absolute master at those couple of things that you're really, 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 really good at, that's when you start becoming a specialist at something, and you start becoming a go-to expert at it. And that's when everybody goes to you for that particular thing. So learn and try to figure out what are some things that you're really, really good at that not a lot of people are, and just focusing on becoming really good at them. As for your weaknesses, I wouldn't really try to fix those things. I would try to figure out people that you can partner with who can do the things that you're really bad at. And if they're very obvious weaknesses that's affecting you from growing and moving forward, then maybe you can spend some time to try to see if you can get a little bit better at it. But for the most part, you want to focus on, becoming even stronger at the things that you're already good at. So if you know what your strengths are, obviously it'll be much easier for you to figure out somebody, a potential client or potential business partner, an opportunity, and you can quickly, know that, hey, I'm good at this thing. This person is looking for that thing. Okay, let's work together. All right, so there's also this quote, like, it's 10 times harder to find a good employee than it is to find a good client. And that's so true. Like, people that are loyal and want to work for you, and you can rely on, they're very hard to come by. So when you do find someone like that, make sure that you stick with them. And if you haven't found someone like that, constantly be looking out to see if you can find people that are sold on your vision, that understand your company, and as passionate about your brand and your mission as you are. And if you can find people like that, you'll definitely have a much, you know upper edge compared to someone who doesn't have that kind of help. And Oprah Winfrey has a quote: surround yourself with only people who are going to take you higher. And that's very, very true when it comes to your employees as well, is you want to hire people who are better than you at what you're hiring them for. Having great people on your team will give you access to new strengths that you don't have personally. And you'll also be able to build a company culture that people will want to be a part of. So it'll attract talent as you start to develop and build a sense of culture within the brand. So we spend a lot of time on client relationships, client management, and customer relationships, and all this kind of stuff. But a lot of companies really fail to focus on what's more important than clients. It's your actual employees. And so you have to make sure that these people are absolutely experts, they're getting the help they need, and that they're happy in the positions that they're at. And if they're not, then your brand is going to suffer, and so will they. So you want to train and manage your stuff, in your staff, in a way that makes both, makes it a win-win. So they don't feel like they're stuck there in some sort of job, but that they're very passionate and they feel like their work is impacting directly the mission that they and you as well are looking to pursue. And so it's going to increase the commitment level of good employees. It gives you a ground up and follow up. Gives you ground to follow up on misconduct. So when they don't do the things that you're looking for them to do, you can really point them and say, hey, here's the training, here's how you should be acting, here's how you should be doing things, but you didn't do it that way. You want to take the time to learn how to motivate people, how to encourage them, and how to develop your staff so that they're sold in the vision just as much as you are. And you also you'll be everybody's manager, so it pays to be effective, and you want to be very, very productive yourself, because you have a lot of people that you're going to have to manage as an entrepreneur. So today, being an entrepreneur automatically means that you have to have some sort of a web presence. For the most part, majority of businesses have some sort of web presence, whether it be a gas station or it be something like a nightclub, or maybe a restaurant or an e-commerce store. They all have web presences. And if you're on the web, obviously search engines are a great way to get traffic to your website where people can buy things from you. So you have to know engine optimization to some degree. And when you first start out SEO, it'll be very confusing and you'll be doing a lot of things everywhere and you won't know where to start. So one way that you can make it easy to understand is to set a specific goal, like figure out what you're trying to achieve and what you're looking to do and how you will get traffic to it and what will, the sales be like and what will be the conversions and how much money will actually make. So set specific goals like that. You want to create a customer journey, or you can call it a funnel, whatever you want to call it. But the route that a customer takes from the moment that they come in interact with you for the first time until you've basically gotten them to purchase the highest ticket item or service or product or whatever that you have. Basically, that's called a customer journey. You want to develop really good calls to action on your website and within your journey, customer journey and funnel as well. You want to create a very effective lead magnet, and lead magnet is basically something that you give away for free or little cost to acquire a customer's contact information, so you can contact them again in the future, asking for them for their business. You want to obviously become an educator in your space, especially if you want to become the go-to person in that industry. So create amazing quality, and you also want to make sure that you do good keyword research, so you can figure out what people in your industry are looking for and what they want to learn about and what they're actually searching for. So when you create the content, you're not just creating things that people have no interest in, but you're actually creating things that people actually want to learn about and out there looking for. And most importantly, you want to have a really good presence on social media, because social media is what drives business today. It helps people understand, how to make purchasing decisions. It shows there's, social proof is obviously a huge thing. So it gives you a chance to really let other people look into your brand and see how successful you are with what you do. Sorry, connecting via social networking. Social networks represent a key part of any business and marketing strategy today. You'll have to understand each platform and how they operate. You'll also want to arm yourself with the best strategies there are, and the best strategies are different based on which platform we're talking about here. But you'll need to get your startup and personal brand noticed on all the major social networks where your potential customers are hanging out. And you want to make sure that you have a presence on all those sites, because those are places where you can drive traffic from. So are you focusing on your customers? Because the customers are the bread and butter of any business, and they're the ones that are paying you money for you to be able to, operate and stay in business. So without any customers, you don't really have a business. So you want to make sure that your pitches, your products and services are focused on actual customers' needs. And if you create things that they don't really want, then it's going to be hard to sell it to them. So as you're developing products and services, ask your customers what their actual problems are and develop solutions around those problems. Research and ask questions so that you're able to give great customer service. And if you don't research and ask them, it's going to be very difficult for you to figure out exactly what their needs are. Even if you're operating in that industry, you may not have the exact same problems as somebody else. So the best thing to do is obviously just ask what the problems are. So if you cannot sell something, you're really not much of an entrepreneur today, because sales is the most important skill in entrepreneurship. So you have to know how to ask for a sale. And this is the part where most people get stuck, and they don't know how to actually ask for the sale. And if you're nervous about this step, I would highly encourage that you take some sort of a sales training course or a workshop, and to learn some basic sales skills, so you can go up to anybody, present them with your offer, and get them to pay you for that offer, product, or service. You can obviously hire a professional sales team or sales gurus who can do sales on your behalf as well. One of the things about being a successful entrepreneur is knowing how to spot certain new trends and things like that in your industry. So I'm sure that you guys have seen changes coming in your industry. It happens in every industry. Things are never the same. So you want to basically make sure that you stay up to date on new startups and advances in technology and how that's affecting how your particular business and niche operates. You want to make sure that you have a business plan to make sure that there's no hidden things that are going on there that you haven't accounted for. You want to create unique products and services that people, it'll be hard to compete against. And you want to stay connected on social media to know what's actually trending right now. Because right now, what's going on and is the most relevant thing to your business, not what something that happened in the future or happened in the past, or not something that's coming in the future, but right now is the most important time to build your products and services on. So obviously going to fail at some point when you start out. I failed like at 7 startups before I got one that was actually generating decent revenue for me to be able to, work on it full time. So, doubt and fear will kill more dreams than failure ever will. So don't doubt it. Just go out there and try it. If you don't try something, you really won't know like if it's going to work or not. I mean, obviously, yes, you can validate it by looking at other people that are doing that, asking your customers and looking at the numbers and things like that. But at the end of the day, like you just have to pick really good things and just try them. And so when you try something, there are obviously chances that you can fail and it won't work. So knowing how to deal with the ups and downs is very, very crucial. And you need to remember that every successful person failed dozens of times before getting a win. And we all know about the famous it's Thomas Edison example where he basically built like 999 different prototypes of his light bulb until he found one way that it actually works. And so if he had given up on the 998th time, he probably would have never figured out how to, make the light bulb. So, you should also obviously know how many times you need to try, but for the most part, you should definitely be consistent and be persistent in making something happen. And only when you've, tried all things, reached out to all the different people that are doing that successfully, and it still doesn't work, should you move on to a new idea. And so failure isn't necessarily the end. It's just basically a pit stop. It can't happen. It doesn't mean your product or idea necessarily sucks, but it may mean that you need to tweak and change certain things before it does end up working. It's a turning point in a way to success, on the way to success. And your failure is not really going to define you, because once you do become successful, nobody's going to remember all the times that you failed. Do you have a desire to improve the world that you live in? And this is kind of like answering the why behind things. As an entrepreneur, like most people that start a business typically have something in mind that they're looking to achieve, and they feel very passionate about it. And somehow it makes the world a better place to live in today than it was yesterday. And so if you haven't really answered your why you do what you're doing, it'll be very hard for you to justify your business, your decisions, and how, the struggles and the time that you put into it. So really know why you're doing what you're doing, whether it be for religious reasons or be for family reasons or maybe, some causes or whatever the situation might be. You really have to have a why behind what it is that you do. So when you focus on your business and your success, you'll find yourself ready to meet any kind of storm to hit your goal. Don't let this list intimidate or discourage you, because this list is basically a list of things that I've seen kind of like consistent with a lot of successful entrepreneurs. But again, these are very attainable and achievable things if you simply take them into account as you're going out there and building businesses. So being an entrepreneur obviously is a huge risk, but all the skills can be learned and can be had. And if you notice, if you're lacking in something, you got to go out there and you got to quickly develop that skill. Simple as that. And your eventual success will depend on how skilled you are at certain things that are crucial in your particular business model. So that's pretty much what I have for you guys today on this module. Hopefully you guys will enjoyed it. Hopefully it'll help you kind of look into your business and your life as an entrepreneur or a soon to be entrepreneur, and you'll be able to ask yourself, like, do you actually have you accounted for some of these traits? And the thing is that I've interviewed so many successful people, and they all tend to have some way to address each of these things that are these 15 things that are mentioned in this slide, in this PowerPoint. And so ask yourself these questions, interview some successful entrepreneurs and ask them about these particular things, and see if what they say, what they recommend is the same things that you're currently doing to set yourself up for success in any given niche or industry that you decide to go into. Thank you guys again so much for watching. this video, and I will see you guys next video.